Clemson beat Ohio State 29-23. And, man, this was quite the game. It was really, really cool. It was really enjoyable to me to watch Dabo Swinney, who is, Clemson's head coach. It was fun to watch Dabo Swinney's interview after the game. In the postgame interview, he said it felt like a championship game. The back and forth, the emotion of the game. And he even said it was a shame that one of the teams had to lose. He credited Ohio State a lot. Said their fight was awesome. I thought that was really, really classy. And I'll be totally honest, I felt like Ohio State blew it against Clemson. I thought Ohio State, they screwed up and they cost themselves a victory. At halftime, the score was 16-14. At halftime, Ohio State was beating Clemson 16-14. And when we got to the halftime score, and my friends and I look at each other, we're like, "Are you kidding me? That's the score. How in the world is Clemson still in this game?" We could not believe that Clemson was still alive at this point. You got to understand, Ohio State had multiple long drives where they drove all the way down the field only to get stopped in the red zone. Multiple times Ohio State had long drives. I'm going to read them to you. They had a 10-play drive where they spanned 71 yards, a 10-play, 71-yard drive. All they got out of it was a field goal. Ohio State had another drive, 7 plays, 75 yards. All they got was a field goal. Then they had a 14-play drive, 70 yards, and they had to settle for a field goal because they couldn't score in the red zone. And then there was a point where Ohio State led 16-0 with 7 minutes before halftime, and then bam, Clemson turned it on. Suddenly their offense scored 2 touchdowns in a hurry, and it's at halftime, it was 14-16. And let me tell you, in the half-game interviews for both head coaches, Ryan Day, Ohio State's head coach, looked shell-shocked. He looked panicky. He was making excuses. He was complaining to the interviewer. He just did not look composed at all. Ryan Day looked completely defeated and horrified, even though, by the way, at that point, he was leading by 2 points in that game. Ryan Day did not look like a coach who was winning a football game. He looked like he was down 50-0 at halftime. So Ryan Day looked like he just lost all his composure and was horrified that they'd let Clemson come back. And at that point, Dabo Swinney, Clemson's head coach, looked poised. He looked ready to finish the fight. He looked like he was ready to go. And it's so funny to me. Ohio State fans are blaming, there were 2 things that you can talk about, 2 talking points if you want, to say that Ohio State got screwed. You could say, well, Ohio State had a player ejected because of a targeting call. That was a big deal. It cost them. Or you could also say that Ohio State was a victim of 2 really bad calls by the officials. And I agree. There was a call where there was a pass interference that was really blatant that was not called in favor of Ohio State. They got screwed. And then there was another play where Clemson fumbled. Ohio State picked up and ran for a touchdown. They called it an incomplete pass instead of a fumble. That really hurt Ohio State. And you can talk about those 3 moments all you want. Ohio State got screwed, but you have to acknowledge adversity seemed to rattle Ohio State. And people need to stop making excuses for that football team. Ohio State scored 4 times in the first half. 4 times, and they only got 16 points out of it. Field goal in the red zone. They couldn't score. Imagine the difference if instead of leading 16-0 with 7 minutes left going into before halftime, what if Ohio State had been leading 28-0? That would have been a much different story. The truth is that Ohio State allowed Clemson to hang around, and then they allowed themselves to get beat. Ohio State blew it. No one likes hearing that. Ohio State fans are going to be mad at me for that. But to go to the red zone 4 times and only get 16 points, it's a big deal. And you can credit Clemson's coaching if you want, right? Do it if you want. But man, you also got to acknowledge Ohio State did not take care of business the way they should have. And by the way, in moments when they needed to, Clemson stepped up. They were ready. They were ready to make plays in big moments. Their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, is not known for running the football. He's a pocket quarterback. This guy had a 67-yard touchdown run. The quarterback who's a pocket quarterback, not known for running the football, had a 67-yard touchdown run. Oh my gosh, he rose to the moment. When Clemson was given opportunities, they took advantage of it. Unlike Ohio State, who repeatedly blew opportunities. Ohio State's quarterback, Justin Fields, had 2 interceptions, and the second interception was not his fault. However, even that interception that was not his fault still reflects on the fact that Ohio State seemed rattled. It starts at the top. Ryan Day, their head coach, appeared to be losing composure at halftime. I was like that. And then you watch the rest of the game on the sideline. He's always complaining or throwing stuff. His body language was awful on the sideline in the second half for Ohio State. Ryan Day, the head coach, it starts with him. But then in a critical moment at the end of a game, a really important down, Ohio State's losing, they need to score. An Ohio State receiver decided to do his own thing. He broke off his route early. Justin Fields threw the ball where he was supposed to be. The receiver wasn't there. It led to an easy interception for Clemson. Ohio State got rattled. It's very interesting to me. All year I've heard that Ohio State, and I even bought into it at one point. I said, Ohio State, they're the most amazing team. They're the best team in the history of college football. A lot of people were saying that. And, we all, myself included, kind of wrote off Clemson. We said, well, Clemson, they dominated a really bad conference. And it seems like everybody forgot that, oh yeah, this is still the same program, Clemson, that dominated Alabama in the national championship game last year. This is the same program. A lot of the players are gone, but these guys were there. They remember it. They are eager to make a name for themselves. And I think people just overlooked Clemson a lot. And Ohio State, you got to acknowledge, they had opportunities. They blew it. They were in the red zone a lot. They had interceptions. Ohio State can blame people all they want, but they got to look in the mirror. It's easier to blame. It's harder to acknowledge, hey, we had moments and we didn't take advantage of those moments. Here's the most disappointing piece of this entire game to me. This is the narrative I really wanted. All I have wanted from the college football playoff, I wanted Joe Burrow, the LSU quarterback, to play against his former team, Ohio State. He transferred out of Ohio State to go to LSU. And now we're not going to get it. And I am so upset. I'm like, man, it feels like a missed opportunity. If anybody ever argues that college football is scripted, you're a freaking idiot, because if things were scripted, you would have had Joe Burrow, Heisman Trophy winner, against his former college football team. We're not going to get that. And look, it's life. It's disappointing. I'm going to really enjoy. Clemson LSU is going to be an awesome football game. I really hope. I hope it's close. I hope it's amazing. But man, I would have loved to see Joe Burrow play against his former college, Ohio State. It's just sad and disappointing. We didn't get that game that I really, really wanted. I wanted that all year, and we didn't get it. And that's sad to me.